All right, check one, two. Hello, hello. What is up, my lovely internet friends? It is me back again, drinking a yerba mate, orange exuberance flavor. I only just recently started getting into these, and I'm a fan. But I think at the end of the day, I like coffee better. And I'm a big coffee head. I don't know if anybody knew that, but variety is the spice of life. And I be going to Whole Foods, and they have these there, and yeah. How are you guys doing? Hope everyone's good. So this video, yet another quote-unquote reaction, as the kids say, a little watch-along video. We're just having some fun. We're chilling out. This is kind of you could say a part two, maybe, to the my previous video where we watched the classic Fall Out Boy Jason interview, and that interview took place on the Nintendo Fusion Tour back in 2005, which was one of Fall Out Boy's first, if not their first ever, like, big arena tour when, From Under the Cork Tree started blowing up. And they talked to a really funny lady interviewer who was talking about a bunch of dirty stuff, and and it was funny. And I, was just enthused by the interviewer lady. And while I was filming that last video, I remembered that there exists another interview on the same tour, the same interviewer lady. I'm willing to bet the same day of the tour, where she interviews the first band on the bill, who were a new up-and-coming young band called Panic at the Disco. And this was, to my knowledge, it wasn't their first tour ever, but it might have been, like, their second. Like, I think they only did, like, one small club tour before this. And Pete Wentz, he signed them to his record label Decadence, and they were one of the first bands signed to the label. And Pete had this funny thing that he used to do with bands that he used to sign, where he would just take them out on an arena tour opening for Fall Out Boy, like, instantly. He did that with the Hush Sound on the Black Clouds and Underdogs tour. I think he did that with Hey Monday a little bit later. Pete Wentz was a really good guy to get signed by, I think, if you want to, like, be in a small band that essentially nobody has heard of and go on a giant arena tour. So basically, this is the first one of those. And yeah, so at this point, Panic at the Disco, I believe A Fever You Can't Sweat Out had just come out. On this tour, and around the time that this interview takes place that we're about to watch. And although they were kind of getting hype right off the bat, they were still very much a baby band. Like, they were tiny little munchkins. It wasn't, this was 2005. This was like fall of 2005. It wasn't until which was obviously when Fever came out. It wasn't until a year later in 06. Early 06 was when I set my friends on fire. The fuck is the song called? I Write Sins Not Tragedies. When that music video hit MTV and started blowing up, and then summer 06 into the end of 06. It was the end of 06 when Fever went platinum, and then they won the, like, big VMA, and that's when Panic really started popping off. So this is like baby band Panic on one of their first tours, just releasing their first record. And so that is interesting in itself. But the other interesting part is it's the same interview lady. This was kind of a lesser, not as well, it is as iconic of an interview, but at the time, I don't think back when I was younger watching that Fall Out Boy interview that we watched last time, I don't think I knew about this one with Panic at the Disco. I don't think I discovered this until years later, but it's the same lady, and if you watched my last video, you know that I was very enthused and enthralled by this interviewer woman. I don't know her name. I don't know where she is now. I don't know if she interviewed anybody else. Maybe she interviewed the other bands on the Nintendo Fusion Tour on that day. I don't know. But I feel like I'm on a mission now. I want to find her. This interviewer lady, who are you? Where are you at? Can I hit me up, because I would like to interview you and find out what your deal is, because you're cool as hell and you're part of some very interesting and important lore. All right, so without further ado, I love you guys. Thank you all for watching. That's not me ending the video, but I actually did want to say thank you for, the people who've been watching my videos lately. I love you. I just wanted to throw that in there. A little bit of gratitude, appreciation. Cheers. And let's dive in and watch this OG Panic at the Disco interview. Reporting live from the Nintendo Fusion Tour 2005, 19 years later. It's me. Going back and watching the shit. All right, let's check it out.
Hey everybody, we're here with Panic at the Disco, performing in downtown Detroit. Okay guys, can I get everybody's names really quick?
Brent.
Brendan.
Ryan. Spencer.
Okay.
All right. So right off the bat, this is OG Panic at the Disco. We got Brent Wilson, the original bass player. And I just wanted to point out Ryan Ross's hat. So this is a this is a classic, and his hair. Look at that little guy. So Ryan Ross, kind of before, they're not wearing suits. Well, maybe Spencer is. They're not wearing suits. They're kind of dressed down. I feel like after this, into 06, they really started going hard on the whole burlesque, or not burlesque for them. You know what I'm saying? The whole what would you call it? What's like the male version of like burlesque? I don't know. I probably sound like a dumbass right now. You know what I'm talking about, when they started wearing fucking suits and dressing up like George Washington shit, like the founding fathers. Before that, like in 05, like the making and release of Fever era, Ryan always wore this little cap. Vaudevillian, thank you. Vaudevillian, that's the word that I'm thinking of. Yeah, Ryan always had this little cap and little, like, cheek-length straight hair. So we're still, as far as Ryan Ross and his style progression goes, we're still in the, like, live journal era of Ryan Ross. And so this is like, he was just a baby, just a little kid. This is like Ryan Ross 1.0. This is like Ryan Ross, the, internet forum visiting, like, My Chemical Romance stan. We are not anywhere near the, like, pot-smoking, Beatles-worshipping rebel that he became. He's still, like, one of us at this point.
So you guys played last night, right?
Yeah.
How did it go?
It was awesome.
Awesome.
There were a bunch of kids there, even though, like, obviously there wasn't as much for Fall Out Boy, but there were a bunch of kids in there. They got them in pretty quick, and they were awesome. Like, it's weird. With this tour, the kids see us as, like a lot differently than the last tour. Me and Ryan were talking about it. Like, on the Acceptance tour, we were the opening band, and there was, like, 200 kids to see us. Now we're the opening band. We're playing up to, like, 7,000 people. So, like, the kids see us as, like, a bigger band than we actually are. It's kind of funny. But then you see our van out there, and you realize the truth, so.
Yeah, so this was their second tour. That confirms it. Their first tour, I knew this, but I forgot. Their first tour is opening for the band Acceptance, and that was like a small club tour. Like, Acceptance were, like, pretty small compared to Fall Out Boy at this time. It's cool to... I got love for Brent Wilson, man. And it's cool to see him, talking business in in an old interview like this. I know he recently got into some, like, legal trouble. I don't know exactly what the deal with that is. I don't even know if I want to get into it. I hope he's doing all right. I hope his family's doing all right. Unless, of course, he did something really terrible, in which case I hope that justice is getting served. Either way, I hope everyone's all good. Yeah, I don't know. And also, like, Brendan's little hair and his little polo shirt. I don't know. But yeah, and talking about how small, they were as a band at the time. And, that was all about to change within 6 months to a year. They would be, fucking, like, a headlining act of their own and, selling, like, 1 million CDs or whatever. So this is a real artifact, you know what I mean? This is cool.
But yeah, it was,
This is a pretty big venue. I mean, I heard that there was lines starting at 3 around the block.
yeah, there was. It was awesome. It was a really good turnout for us, I think. So it was good.
We play like the classic games, just like
Mega
Mario,
Man.
Mario
Brennan
All
plays
Stars.
Diddy Kong like every day.
Yeah,
So-
like, we do.
Okay, Ryan with the white belt too. I didn't see that earlier. That's a fit, yo. His fit is hard. Again, with more video games, because it is the Nintendo Fusion Tour. I'm not into video games. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I do know who Diddy Kong is, but anyways.
Play all those
We play
Nintendo
Nintendo
games.
games.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Also, I think it's cool that behind them you can see like whatever truck or bus or whatever that they're standing in front of, it's got like the tour ad like wrap around on it. You can see the Boys Night Out logo and part of the Panic at the Disco logo. That's real cool.
Best comment ever. You guys, what do you guys play? Anything?
Last night I actually tried one of the like new micro things, I guess.
What'd you think about that?
That's pretty sweet.
Really? You liked it?
Yeah. I mean, I only got to play Pac-Man on it, but the graphics are pretty sweet. It's not bad.
See, I'm like an Xbox person. I only play Halo, and I'm like religiously, like
Seriously,
at
that's all
home.
he does.
Halo or Halo 2?
Both, but like of course Halo 2 online, like every.
What I also appreciate about this time is that, I mean, we all know the trajectory of Panic at the Disco, how, a decade after this, it's only Brendan left in the band, and Brendan obviously became, somewhat of a star of his own or whatever. But at this time, Brendan was still like kind of pretty shy and timid, you can tell. He wasn't really, he was, he had a great frontman voice, and I think he was a great frontman for this era of the band, but he was still like, he was a little bit just kind of a little shy and awkward, which I like. That's one thing I like about this era of Panic is that, like, I don't know, they weren't really like, no one was, I mean, I would say Brendan and Ryan were like, had star power, but they were still just kind of shy kids, doing their thing, which I think is really sweet.
Every day when I was at home.
I just got my Halo 2. And so, yeah.
Yeah, you'll get addicted if you're into it. It's awesome. So.
Killer. So what's going on after this? Any plan? Like, what's the next city that you travel to after you are done with Detroit? Do you know?
Well, Dan,
No.
I think our
you know where we're at?
After Detroit, where are you guys going?
Columbus, Ohio, yeah.
I went to school there.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Yeah, really nice. I like it a lot.
Okay, also, I'm cutting this a lot, but Spencer's outfit is really swaggin' too. I think Ryan and Spencer are like the best dressed here. Because see, he's not doing the vaudevillian suit thing yet, but he's got a nice blazer on, and they both kind of, they don't look pop punk. Both of them are dressed more they got more of like an indie sleaze kind of thing going on. They look like they could play in a band like some kind of hip like electronic indie leaning kind of band, like what's that band I'm thinking of? Does It Offend You? Yeah, or something like that. Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah, one of those bands. That's like the type of style, that sort of electro indie chic kind of vibe that, at least to me, they're not that it's not like emo or pop punk. Like they were on some cool guy shit, you know what I mean? And they did have electronic influence in their music. So it's, it's not I'm not grasping at straws here. These were hip young men.
We passed through it one time when we were driving to go record our record, but we never played a show there.
right?
Oh yeah, we did. We went to work there for like a few hours there.
We saw.
How was Warp Tour?
Well, we were only there for a few hours, but I mean, we love going to Warped Tour and stuff. It's awesome. So.
You guys will really like Columbus. It's nice little joint. Oh yeah, CD came out last night. Very, congratulations on that. So, pretty excited.
Okay, that's crazy. So yeah, this is the day after A Fever You Can't Sweat Out came out. That's nuts. Need I say more? So this is a real historical document that we're looking at as far as not only Panic at the Disco lore, but 2000s emo, you know, because that album was a big fucking deal, you know, and it was a little bit of a slow burn at first. A slow burn compared to where they went, but they, you know, because there was hype initially, but, you know, that album was a big fucking deal. There was definitely, like, in my eyes, there was, like, the scene, quote unquote, before Fever and then after. Like, I feel like Fever was a big game changer, you know? All of a sudden, you couldn't just be, like, like, Motion City soundtrack, like, Armor for Sleep, kind of bare bones, like, club band. After Fever, like, you had to be, I mean, you could, but if you really wanted to do something, Fever raised the bar so high that, like, you have to be larger than life now, you know, post Fever. That's the way I look at it. So, day after Fever came out, crazy.
I didn't get any calls from the parents. Oh my god, I got your CD!
Yeah, actually, I got calls from my mom, and there's not a copy left in Las Vegas, so she tried to go buy it, but there wasn't any left, so...
That's awesome!
More exciting than saying that she did get it, because, you know...
No, it is really exciting, because she will get one eventually, but that's incredibly good news to hear. How did you, any calls from the rents?
Yeah, like, and just like friends from home and stuff, like, congratulations, you know, like, CD's out and everything, and it's just awesome to finally have it out, like, from writing it, and then recording, and then touring, and then now it's finally, like, out, and kids can finally get a hold of it. It's just...
kind of surreal.
Yeah, that too, at the same time.
Okay, first of all, before any of that, I like that she said, did you get any calls from the rents? Because I feel like that was a very 2000s thing, calling your parents the rents. I remember people saying that. I feel like people don't say that anymore. So that's a relic. And also, yeah, so the CDs sold out in Vegas. So yeah, they had, like, hype right off the bat. Obviously, again, not as big as they would become, but they were, like, you know, kind of an archetype of, you know, what was starting to happen here and what would continue to start happening after, where a band would start blowing up on the internet before, you know, before anything else, you know. Panic, like, they didn't really, you know, they weren't like a DIY punk band with a bunch of years under their belt of, like, DIY touring before they made their first album. They put out some demos on fucking Pure Volume and MySpace and just started getting, like, online hype. And that was a very new concept at the time. So, you know, and the fact that the CD was already selling like hotcakes is a testament to that, because they never even had, like, an EP or even, like, a single before it. The Fever was the first release by Panic. So, you know, it was really, like, the explosion of Panic, you know, of any of these, like, fucking emo bands that we talk about on this channel. Like, very few are as endlessly fascinating and almost mind-boggling to me as the explosion of Panic at the Disco, because it was really, like, you know, unlike anything a lot of people had seen before that, you know? It was like it was really unique and broke a lot of ground, and so many bands eventually would you know, try to follow their mold or whatnot, you know, but for them it was like this crazy lightning in a bottle, like, almost bizarre explosion, you know.
But yeah, it's exciting.
Cool. That's a lot of fun. How about you guys? Any particularly amazing phone calls about the CD coming out?
Yeah, I got like 5 of my friends back home that just, like, left messages like, oh, I tried to go pick it up but I couldn't get it, it was sold out. So that was a lot more exciting. My parents actually got to buy it, so that was cool too, but it was just, like, crazy to hear that it was
the lucky
sold out.
parents that went ahead and picked it up.
Right, they're the smart ones that got there early, so that's right.
I actually had a few random, like, text messages and, like, phone calls, people I hadn't talked to for, like, 3 years. It was kind of strange, but yeah. And then my brother said he got it, like, within an hour of Best Buy opening, so he got it. And then my parents went to go get it, and they couldn't get it either. But yeah, I got some random phone calls. That's about it.
Any calls from girls out of the blue that are just all of a sudden like, oh my god, you guys are rock stars and I totally want to date you? Yes, yes.
Is that you get like messages from people like, oh, like
Yeah, let me
3
turn
years ago. Yeah, and like I don't usually go on there that much, but then a couple days or like a week ago, they're like, yeah, there's some girl on there that says that she knows you, and then I go on there and I see who it is. And I'm like, I haven't talked to that person in 4 years.
So be honest, do you follow up with that? You're like, ha, girl.
No,
Are you lying? You can admit it.
I'm not lying.
Okay.
He's telling the truth.
He's telling the truth.
Yeah.
All right, you're the one that follows up, huh?
Yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Awesome.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I think we're all good. And thanks for coming and talking with us. I'm excited to see the show tonight.
Wow. All right, so just like the Fall Out Boy one, towards the end there, she was looking for some salacious, scandalous, sexual stories. She was pushing for, this female attention that you're getting now because you got a CD out. Are you following through? Because last time she was like, groupie stories, guys. That's funny. She really wants to know. She's trying to suss out who's hooking up in these bands, and so far none of them are none of them are giving anything away. Because again, these are, come on, Fall Out Boy and Panic at the I mean, I'm sure someone in one of those bands was maybe experimenting a little bit on the road, if you know what I mean. But I don't. Neither of them were really, both of those bands were pretty geeky gentlemen. You know what I mean? But it's funny that she's pressing that too in the Panic interview. Also, I thought it was kind of funny how Spencer was like, yeah, kind of describing, what would you call it, a little fair weather friend, right? This person I haven't spoken to in years suddenly calling me, you know what I'm saying? Different time, man, and again, not to sound like a fucking, like, boomer or something, but, like, this is bad. This is, like, kind of the last time where, like, people really had to, people went and bought CDs, right? You know what I mean? Streaming wasn't like, there was like Napster and like sites like Rhapsody were starting to happen, but like, you really genuinely had to go out and buy the CD. So it's interesting to hear, this was kind of the last little era where you can hear bands talk about people going out and buying their CD first week without kind of the addendum of, well, people don't really buy CDs nowadays anyway. It was already kind of shifting at this point, but not enough to where, it was kind of the last of that era, which is interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. That's it. That was cool. Not as crazy as the Fall Out Boy interview from last time, but still very historic and cool and an ancient relic of its time, because we got the OG Panic at the Disco, we got Brent Wilson in the house, we got like their original swag. This was still like coming out of the Ryan Frost live journal era. They were still young kids, and the day after Fever dropped, so looking back, such a monumental album, and still a great album, by the way. I was just listening to some Fever tracks before turning on the camera to get in the Panic headspace a little bit, and it's crazy how there are elements of that album that do obviously sound like a little bit dated now, but I'd say in the grand scheme of things, compared to like a lot of other, stuff that was being made by contemporaries of Panic at the Disco at the time. It was a very futuristic album, not only for its time, but like, I feel like even nowadays, there's like, it still sounds futuristic to me. Fever, it still sounds like, man, this is like pushing the bar as high as you can get it for like a band like this, you know what I mean? It's just so cool, and it still holds up in my opinion. It still gives me a lot of comfort, and also like tickles the like musical part of my brain that like it still makes me think. It's still complex and interesting after all these years. I feel like there's still it's one of those albums where there's still new layers and textures that I'm discovering within the songs, even though I've been listening to it for, pushing 2 decades now. It's wild. So yeah, that was a fun little piece of history. Thank you for watching. I hope all you guys are doing well. And as always, I got to give a big shout out to those who support me on Patreon. Y'all are the real MVPs. If you want to, you know my spiel. If you want to keep the shit going, keep the lights on, you can go to patreon.com/thecozyrepresentative, get some bonus content. There's a link in the description, so thank you to all those people. And thank you to everybody who's been, sticking with my channel. I got a lot of things planned for 2024, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I'll swear to shake it up if you guys swear to listen. If you know what I'm saying. Love you guys. Have a good one. I'll catch you next time. Peace.